Cornell University before moving on to the University of Illinois to receive his DVM. After graduation, he worked as an associate for a few years before opening his own practice. While running his practice, he identified a real need for enhanced business acumen to truly make his practice successful. So while managing and practicing full-time, he attended night school to receive his MBA from the University of Redlands. As a result of this additional business knowledge, he was able to move his practice, expand his practice, and then sell his practice to one of the corporate consolidators. In September of 2000, Dr. Weinstein stepped away from clinical practice to work full-time as a practice management consultant and to run Veterinary Practice Consultants Brokerage, which is a veterinary-specific job placement firm that assists veterinarians in finding new associates and the new associates in finding jobs. Then in September of 2003, Veterinary Pet Insurance hired Dr. Weinstein to oversee their claims department as the medical director. Then 3 years ago, Dr. Weinstein returned to the world of practice management consulting for both veterinary practices and veterinary-related corporations under his own company, Paw Consulting. With Dr. Stephen Kornfeld, Dr. Weinstein has created Veterinary Success Services, a firm that provides both coaching and consulting services to assist the entire veterinary practice team become more personally and professionally successful. Currently, Dr. Weinstein is the executive director for the Southern California Veterinary Medical Association and is also a past president of Vet Partners. Dr. Weinstein has spoken and written extensively on veterinary practice management, team building, leadership, collegiality, working with allied industry, marketing, and many other topics focused on making the veterinary profession a better profession for all those affiliated with it. So we're really excited to bring Dr. Weinstein to you today. Thank you for joining us. And without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Peter, and he's going to tell you about creating breed-based healthcare programs.
Thank you. Good morning and good afternoon, wherever you may be. I am just waiting to be handed, there it is, show my screen. And hopefully everybody has the first slide up there. Welcome. I really appreciate you taking time away from your busy schedules. The contact information for me is right there. As Kate said, we'll handle questions throughout the discussion over the next 50 minutes or so. And if you would like a copy of the slide set at the end of the presentation, feel free to email me at peterw2@aol.com. The breed-specific marketing is something that kind of morphed from my interest in marketing. So I'd like to give a little bit of basic foundational discussion on marketing, and then break it down into the breed-specific marketing that we're going to talk about for the primary aspects of this discussion. The discussion on marketing, or the definition of marketing that I like most, is this one from John Jansch, author of Duct Tape Marketing. Marketing is getting people who have a specific need to know, like, and trust you. Getting people who have a specific need to know, like, and trust you. And that's what we do every day in practice, because we are problem solvers. People come in with a need for their pets, and our goal is to solve them. And the best way to do that is to get them to know, like, and trust you. So marketing is not selling, and that's the overarching concern that most veterinarians have is that marketing is selling. It's not selling. It does lead to a sale, and marketing is really all about communication. In the 21st century, marketing is focused on creating relationships through the education of your client, and by communicating to them, hopefully they will come in more frequently, accept additional services, pay higher fees, and then the greatest pat on the back that you can get is refer their friends and family. So the bottom line is marketing through communication and education is getting your front door to swing. So that's the global overview of marketing. Breaking it down a little bit further, let's talk about retention marketing, which many people think of as internal marketing. And that is marketing to your existing clients. And these are people that you already have in your database, you have a relationship with already. And the goal with retention marketing is to get them to come in, accept the needed care, and feel so special that they'd never consider going anywhere else. Retention marketing is trying to put a ball and chain on your clients so that they feel that you are a safer, more comfortable place to be than their own home. And why is retention marketing so important? Well, it's much more cost-effective. You already got the clients. You don't have to go out and attain them from somewhere else or acquire them from somewhere else, so it's much less expensive. You spend a lot less time with existing clients than you do when you have to gain the trust of a new client. And finally, an existing client, if you can retain them from womb to tomb, from birth to death, will spend anywhere from $3,000 to $20,000 at your practice. So doesn't it make sense to focus on client retention right now with the higher return on investment? The retention marketing tools that you're used to using are your reminder cards, your newsletters, email reminders, phone calls, and website is a marketing tool. It's both an external and internal marketing tool. Your information on hold when clients are listening to information, handouts that you give. I mean, there's a whole plethora of retention marketing tools. And the goals with them is to get your clients to know, like, and trust you, come in more frequently, spend more money, and refer their friends. That's the bottom line. And your retention marketing programs that you've done, the ones that you're used to, are senior care and obesity and dental care. And I believe we're having a talk on dental care next month in this series of webinars. Heartworm programs and flea and tick programs, and many of you are probably doing some sort of holiday program right now. And there's a plethora of these retention marketing programs that you do on a regular basis, or hopefully do on a regular basis, to let your clients know that you exist. Well, I want you to add another one to your list of retention marketing programs, and that's breed-specific marketing. So you've got this foundation, you know about marketing, you now know about internal or retention marketing programs. Now let's talk about what you came to listen to, which is breed-specific marketing. Breed-specific marketings are programs created to educate and inform your existing clients about their pet's risks based upon that breed's associated risk factors. So basically, you're going to help them with their breed-specific, their pet and the specific breed and some of the different risk factors that they are inclined to get. And then eventually, that will lead to them taking some action within your practice, whether it's radiographs or blood work or other things from that standpoint. So why is it so important? Well, if you've been reading and following the articles and the publications, we have seen published a decrease in pet visits over the last 10 years, which means that we've lost touch with the clientele, the pet owners that are out there. We have not engaged them. The existing clients are coming in less frequently, and the new clients are having a harder time coming in. And there's a lot of choices that pet owners have now that they didn't have 10 or 15 years ago as to where they can go and get their pet care. So again, going back to the premise of retention marketing, you've got to keep your clients. You can't let them go. You can't afford to. So breed-specific marketing focuses on keeping and retaining your clients through new communication tools. So clients are seeking alternative sources for vaccinations, flea control online, vaccination clinics, different resources, low-cost facilities. And these have become commodities. We've commoditized some of the well care aspects of veterinary care. We have depersonalized them. And basically, when people are looking for lower-cost vaccinations and flea control and prescriptions, they're not basing it on relationship. They're strictly basing it on cost. Breed-specific marketing focuses on creating customized care, personalized care, the kind of care that many, many clients are looking for, that's based upon a relationship and a focus on them as an individual and their pet as an individual pet, rather than the more clinic-like vaccination services and flea control that they can buy online. Your goal is to build relationships. So, ask yourself the following questions. When you have a client in the exam room, do we routinely discuss the future needs with the clients that are either well-care based or breed-specific? In other words, beyond that 15-minute window that you have with them in the exam room, are you talking to your clients about the expected care down the road? Or are you strictly focused on today's visit? Because breed-specific marketing is all about creating expectations for future care. When you are evaluating a pet for medical condition, do you consider its breed as an increased risk for that condition? Are you aware of which breeds have a higher risk of things like Addison's disease? Are you aware of those breeds that have a high
Looks like Peter's line must have gone off, but until he's going to dial back in. In the meantime, I'm going to show you real quick the upcoming webinar that we have in January. Do that. So, like I mentioned at the beginning, and when Peter comes back on, we'll switch back to the presentation. But I'll just take a moment here. In January, we're doing a webinar on dental radiology, Ready, Set, Grow. And like I said, go to Facebook, and in the search toolbar up here, you can search for Vet Partners, and that'll take you to our Vet Partners Facebook homepage. And click the like, oh, there's Peter. Click the like button and you'll get updates on all of this. Maybe Peter is coming back on the line.
I am back on the line. I don't know what the heck happened, but cordless phones.
Yeah, aren't they wonderful? Okay, I'm going to switch it back over to you, Peter.
Thank you. So hopefully we got through some of the questions. To ask yourself. And
Peter, just click show my screen. There you go.
Asking your clients about, teaching your clients about the medical conditions when you're in the exam room with them, and breed-specific and breed-related risk factors, especially to puppies and kittens. What you're trying to do is create future expectations with your client so that there are no surprises. So breed-specific marketing is about creating future expectations for your clientele. Well, it does require that you make sure you're up to date on breed-related risk factors and all of the new discoveries in pet genetics. And I will tell you, when I was in veterinary school 25 years ago, we learned zip, except to say large breeds had a predilection to hip dysplasia. That was about all we learned. And a lot of what I learned about breed-specific conditions happened to be when I was working at VPI as their medical director. So if you're tired of the same old puppy talk, here's a way to add some flair. Because breed-specific marketing actually starts with assistance in pet selection. We are the experts when it comes to pets, we being veterinarians, and we are the ones who should help clients identify clinical issues and behavioral issues that will fit within their lifestyle, their affordability, whether they have children or not, how much exercise they can provide. And once you help in pet selection, you're also talking about some breed-specific issues. It'll continue in that first visit with the puppy or kitten, and then it progresses on a more annual basis or more frequently with older pets on some of the breed-specific issues that are related to being older and a specific breed. It's customized care for the client and the four-legged family member. And it takes you away from the routine puppy talk and adds something more to your discussion. It's creating a user's manual for each pet that you see. There's my dog Sundance when he was a puppy, actually 9 years ago. And this was a concept binder that we made with using Sundance and on the front of a 3-ring binder. So something you can think about to help create this breed-specific marketing resources or tools. So how do you get started? Well, the first thing is you got to get to your basics. If your practice doesn't have a vision, a mission, and core values, if you don't have standards of care, and if you don't have consistent well-care parameters, in other words, if everybody is singing a different song within the practice, this will never work. So the first thing you have to do is build a consistent approach to everything in your practice, and then this will slide in naturally. But if the standards of care vary from doctor to doctor or technician to technician, this is not a program that you can start until you build this foundation. And you need to have these in place each time, every time, because if you're not consistent, you'll be non-existent. So, and it does take time. So you get started with your basics, and then you do need to do your research. And you need to look at resources for breed-specific information. You take that 3-ring binder concept that I showed you with Sundance in just a minute ago. You get a good digital camera, and you start to build the handouts that will go for each specific breed. And you could start with the top 20 AKC registered breeds because you'll see mostly those, and then you can expand to the less common breeds, especially if you know a specific breed that you don't have that's coming in. You can build what you need for a specific breed. And you can build all of these resources in a folder on your computer online and print them out even while the client is in the exam room, or print them out before the client comes in if you know the breed, especially for a new client. You're also going to take some time to create some scripts, some communication tools for your staff that everybody will use. And I don't mean something that they're going to memorize and sound robotic with. I mean something that is an easily spoken reminder to them and to the clients about the services that you provide. Like, hey, you've got a golden retriever. We got a lot of things we can talk to you about golden retrievers, some suggestions on behavior and nutrition. And here's a 3-ring binder that talks about the risk factors that golden retrievers have. And Dr. Weinstein will be in to go over some of the details. Kathy, our exam room nurse, will go over some of them. And we want you to have this to take home to help you have an understanding of the expectations for Sundance over his life expectancy. And the bottom line for any of this to be successful is you've got to get commitment to the entire team. The entire team has to buy into it. And for them, it's going to be exciting because they're going to learn new things about breeds that they haven't learned before, and risk factors and preventative diagnostics and early intervention and things of that nature. So for every year, in a well-care situation, for every year from womb to tomb, what does a pet in your practice need? These are your standards of care. When do you want to do a physical exam in the 0 to 12 months? When do you want to do all of these well-care parameters? And this is part of your standards of care that you're going to develop. And then you add, and you do this for every year from birth to 15 years. When do you change from once-a-year visits? What age is senior? Are you going to have breed-dependent increased visits? Should a Great Dane be seen more frequently than a toy poodle? Should a golden retriever be seen more frequently than a Chihuahua? And you're going to do some breed-specific well-care assessments from birth to 15 or so years, so your client knows that based upon this goal, this table, and I'll give you a sample of a table in just a second, that you're going to want to see that pet more frequently because it is a golden retriever, because it's a Great Dane, because it's a Rottweiler or a Bernese Mountain Dog, or we're going to see it maybe a little bit less frequently in some of the small breeds that don't age quite as age quite as rapidly. And then, based upon breed, what baseline lab work do you want to do, and when do you want to start it? Do you want to start doing some thyroid levels in Goldens earlier than you might do it in breeds that have a lower predilection to thyroid disease? And you take and you create a spreadsheet. So here's an example of annual well care needs. And on the left-hand side, you would put down the needs. And over the top, you would put down the age. And I just kind of condensed this to, 1, 2, and 7 years. Ages 1 and 2 physicals would be annually. At 7 years, it would be twice a year. At 11 years, it would be 3 years. Above it would have a breed. It might say golden retriever annual well care needs or poodle annual well care needs. And you fill in this table with whatever you in your practice believe in. And no two practices may have the same thing. But what you're going to do is try to make this specific to what your practice beliefs are and for the specific breeds, and create this table, go across the top. You can even start at 8 weeks and go across the top for all the different years based upon breed, And then the left-hand side, all the different tests. So under lab work, it might be CBC and chem and thyroid. And you can either use boxes like this or you can put X marks in it. So this is a good way to get started. And then we can get into the more specific aspects of breed-specific marketing, and this is kind of designer medicine because it's including both well care needs and breed-specific condition monitoring created specifically for each pet. So we just talked about the well care. Now let's talk about some condition monitoring. But where do you go for resources? Here are some outstanding condition resources that you can use to find different breed-specific conditions. And they're not all inclusive, but they are great sources for, by breed, identifying what a breed might have a predilection to. And I'm going to show you the screen captures on some of these in just a minute. And as I said, if you'd like to receive these by email, just send me an email, and I'll be more than happy to share them with you. So screen capture. This is from the University of Prince Edward Island, Canine Inherited Disorders Database, and this is the front page. And going through it, on the left-hand side, you'll see breeds and disorders, but here's golden retrievers, and you'll see the most important disorders, and then other disorders which have an increased incidence in the breed. And by clicking on individual disorders, you can get further information. Great source. When you start to look at some of the breeds and conditions, I didn't know, ... that this breed had ... It's really pretty cool. Here's Healthy Pet U, and this is another resource that you can use, and they have breeds that you can search for, and they will give you breeds, golden retriever, some of the things that golden retrievers are good for. Lapdog, well, yeah, my golden, if it sat on my lap would disappear. Average age, life expectancy, and then further down, medical conditions seen commonly in golden retrievers, and if you click on any of those, it will bring you to more information about those specific conditions. And then the Canine Health Foundation, breed-specific health concerns. Again, list of breeds, list of conditions that they've got, or list of conditions associated with different breeds. So these are the conditions and the breeds associated with them. And here's another website. That's the genetic testing website, and you can find out which tests are available for the different breeds that are out there. For example, did you know you could test for arrhythmogenic right ventricular cardiomyopathy, which is a keynote for cardiomyopathy in boxers? This is all new in the recent decade or so, and things we need to be on top of. So genetic tests for golden retrievers, genetic degenerative myelopathy, ichthyosis, progressive retinal atrophy, pretty cool stuff that we can add to our tool chest for working with our clients to help them present the best care possible. Additionally, there are some books, Lowell Ackerman's book. There's a recent article in Journal of ACVIM about breed-specific causes of death in dogs. And then there are a couple of companies, and I got to shout out to Shannon Piggott and Nan Boss with GenesisForPets.com, and then the Breed Risk Prevention Group, who have created some resources that will actually provide you with the handout. There's Lowell's book, and this is the Genesis Breed-Specific Healthcare website, and they actually have handouts and resources, such as this, for golden retrievers that you can actually purchase and use to create these breed-specific marketing tools that you're going to have in your practice. Here's the breedriskprevention.com website, and they actually have a table that you can look at on their website, and they have resources too, and you can order the resources also. Here's a Labrador Retriever, recommended tests and recommendations, and this could actually help you build that that spreadsheet that we were talking about a little bit earlier. So, breed-specific marketing. Here's the real work that you need to do. For each breed, identify one or more conditions that breed is at high risk of exhibiting in its lifetime. For example, yellow labs, there are 5 conditions noted there. For each breed, create a breed-specific handout, what the disease is and why you're concerned about it. And then create a timeline, which is an Excel spreadsheet, at which you would like to do screening tests to note if the pet is showing signs or symptoms, or to catch it before they show signs or symptoms, and what tests are needed. So Elbow dysplasia, you might want to do radiographs at the time that's getting neutered, somewhere between 6 and 12 months, and then a follow-up at 2 years. Hip dysplasia, the same thing. PRA, you may go through a thorough eye exam, or you may need to refer it to an ophthalmologist if you have concerns. Bloat, you may not be able to do a test for, but you want to make sure that you have a handout on bloat or allergies and discuss the risk factors and symptoms at each annual exam. What you're wanting to try to do is keep the client aware of these things so that you can get the condition in early and not have to be dealing with the bloat when a client really doesn't even know what a bloat is and that the dog may have a risk for it. So this is where your work comes out, is creating these handouts, breed-specific handouts, and condition-specific handouts that help the client understand what a condition is and what you can do to help identify it and why you need to do so. For each breed and each condition, you put it on the spreadsheet, and you want to give them a client condition-specific handout. Again, as I noted, give them a hip dysplasia handout, an elbow dysplasia handout. Put it in the 3-ring binder. Put it on a CD, however you want to do it. Create a jump drive. And then you want to know which screening tests you want to do and when you want to do them. So here's a Labrador Retriever condition chart. You want to screen for hip dysplasia at a year, 2 years, and then then as needed. Elbow dysplasia, same thing. PRA, et cetera, et cetera. So you're going to build this spreadsheet to go along with the spreadsheet that you created for the well care, and now you've got a roadmap or a user's manual for the client for their pet for its lifetime. Not to say that other things won't crop up, but you're giving them knowledge and expectations for their pet to help them get from year to year in a safe and effective fashion. And it makes you look like you're helping them to provide preventative care instead of therapeutic care. And obviously, as we know, preventative care is less expensive. So here's the communication component. Excuse me. Use your digital camera. That's probably the most cost-effective, high-tech tool that you've got. Every year the pet comes in, you take a new picture, and you send it to the client. You put it in the binder, whatever it is, but it gives high value and high return, and it makes everything else. And if you can print the picture on the handout that you're giving to the client, talk about personalized care. Every year you give them a new handout for their golden retriever, and it's got their pet's picture on it. In marketing, you want to combine breed-specific marketing and discussions with your annual well care discussions. What are the different things you want to talk about well care-wise every year, and what are the different things you want to talk about from a breed-specific standpoint every year? In between visits, you also want to educate your clients, and that shows you care, and you can use multiple messages and multiple media. Email, direct people to your website, text messaging, and multiple messages on the same thing, letters, postcards. Marketing is all about repetitiveness to be effective. You can't get people's attention by just talking about the subject once. They have to be communicated to about that subject frequently, repetitively, and in different fashions. You have to talk to clients about the conditions that their pet has repetitively and using multiple media. Let me repeat that. You need to be repetitive to be effective. Use different media, use different messages, all focusing on identifying conditions that that pet might be at risk for. And we provide breed-specific information for our clients would be a tagline. These are the taglines, excuse me, we're going to move on to something else. These are taglines that you can have in your waiting room, on your website, on the bottom of your invoices, and any marketing pieces that you send out for new clients. Things such as, we provide breed-specific information for our clients. Did you know certain breeds are at a higher risk than others for certain conditions? Ask us about our breed-specific education program. Blank your breed, golden retrievers may be at risk for hip dysplasia. The earlier it's detected, the more options we have to treat it. All of these are taglines and things that could be used for promotional pieces, both to existing clients who haven't learned about your breed-specific marketing and to possibly acquire new clients. Now we're going to touch on this area that probably is the greatest challenge, is because we have to learn how to use our practice management software, search and sort capabilities, and then mail merge capabilities. So you have to be able to identify those golden retrievers over the age of 7 that haven't been in for over a year, that you want to send a letter to about thyroid conditions, and you want to be able to merge the pet's name into the letter. So get in touch with your value-added practice management software and start to learn how to do search and sort. And then you enter a breed, and you enter, create a letter, and you talk about the risk factors in the letter. Golden retrievers over 7 that are overweight might have a higher likelihood of thyroid conditions. Dobermans at all times could have higher risk of cardiomyopathy, cockers and glaucoma. And you're going to create letters based upon search and sort and visit. And it doesn't even matter if they were in 2 months ago. You could still send them a letter that talks about glaucoma, and you're preparing them for the next visit. This is the hard part in many cases. After you've built your resources, the hard part is then learning how to use your software to search and sort. And you're going to create informational and educational letters about a condition and the risk that a pet has of contracting that condition. So it's going to be an educational letter, and then you're always wanting to talk about how you diagnose it, how it can be treated, and the fact that your practice can do all of the above and should do all of the above. And if necessary, consider an ethical bribe. An ethical bribe is a fancy way of saying a gift for taking action. So don't forget, search and sort based upon the parameters. You want to mail merge a personalized letter. You can send the communication via mail or email. And then what's the success rate that you want? I would say 10% wouldn't be bad. So you send 100 letters out, you get 10% return. And I would also suggest testing something. Pick a condition, a breed combination, and do 1 or so per month for about 100 clients. And I'd probably pick your top clients, not somebody who hasn't been in for 2 or 3 years, but somebody who comes in on a regular basis and takes good care of their pet on a well care standpoint, and send out a letter on hypothyroidism, or send out a letter on diabetes, or glaucoma, or KCS, or something like that, so that you can engage them and see what your response is, and give it a try. Don't forget to include your call to action. The last paragraph, and what's interesting is when you write letters, the PS is sometimes read before the entire letter. So your PS may be an ethical bribe, but in your letter you want to have a call to action, a deadline for action, the ethical bribe, and lines such as, did you know golden retrievers have a high risk of hypothyroidism? This disease of middle age and older goldens causes whatever, and we can diagnose it with. So call us today to set up a screening blood test and receive, first prescription of Naloxone free, or recheck blood test at no cost, or whatever the case you want to put in as your ethical bribe. The direct mail marketing supplements the ongoing focus on breed risk factor discussions. So these letters that you're sending out, or your emails that you're sending out, or your postcards that you're sending out are used to supplement the visits that you're already doing. So you've got the exam room spiel that you're going to have, and these direct mail marketing supplements will be the repetition to help your clients remember the discussion you had in the exam room. You can also send clients to your website, and you build a website source for pet information so that they can learn about their breed risks. And the bottom line is, and I said this earlier, so I'll repeat it again, once is not enough. You have to be repetitive, and clients want to be involved. So how can you get them involved? Well, taking an action like going to a website is a way for clients to get more involved. So in the office call, using the spreadsheet that we created, here's what you might say in terms of communication. Mrs. Jones, here's what we anticipate Fluffy needing in the coming year based upon her age, breed, and risk factors. This is assuming she has no accidents or emergencies. In the next year, we're going to do a physical exam. We're going to do the following vaccinations based upon her risk factor. And we're going to take some radiographs to screen for lower back disc issues. We're going to take some lab tests to monitor for diabetes or kidney failure. Any of these different things, and again, it goes back to breed specific. Clients want to know what's going on, and they don't want to know just the what any longer. In fact, the internet has created an opportunity for clients to learn the why. We need to be the experts. We need to be the ones who explain not only the what their pets need, but why they need it. It used to be you could have a conversation with a client, and they would just be interested in, hey, doc, what does he need to do today? What do you need to do today? Now, you have to focus on the client and talk to them about why you need to do that, why you need to take a blood sample, why you need to take an X-ray, why you need to measure the tear production in the eyes, why you need to measure the pressure of the eyes. And the what now has to be supplemented by the why. Communication. It's really, really important right now. So, what about mixed breeds? Because not everybody has a purebred dog. If you look at a lot of the mixed breeds, there is a predominant breed. Also, you've got these mixed breeds that are quote-unquote designer breeds, the Labradoodles, the Cockapoos, the Golden Doodles, the Puggles, and all of these different things. Well, guess what? That just doubled the number of conditions you have to screen for. Hybrid vigor doesn't always happen by breeding two separate breeds, because certain conditions will go through. A friend of mine has a Labradoodle with Addison's disease. Standard poodles have a higher risk of Addison's disease. But you would think, by breeding a Labrador and a poodle, that you wouldn't have quite as risk, would you? Wrong. Some of the genetics bleed through, and here's this 4-year-old Labradoodle in the emergency room with Addison's disease. So mixed breeds are not left out of the mix. Additionally, you can talk to clients about using some of the different genetic panels that are out there to identify the breeds that are within the mix, if they're interested, which will help you identify the discussion points for breed-specific conditions that might occur over time. If they don't want to do the testing and they don't know what the breeds are, you can take a look and kind of guess by appearance what the predominant breeds are and talk about those. And more importantly, ask the client what they think the pet is. And a lot of clients will come in and they'll say, oh, he's just a mutt. And they may be absolutely correct. There may be 57 varieties in there. On the other hand, they say, oh, he's a lab cross, he's a pit bull cross, or whatever the case may be. And Labrador, anything with a Labrador, anything with a pit bull, you need to follow up with the same breed-specific testing that you would as if they were purebred. And you can also look at the fact that large breeds have certain conditions that are more prominent than small breeds. And so if you want to take this to a higher level and you want to create, instead of breed-specific marketing, how about size-specific marketing for mixed breeds? How about a small mixed breed game plan? How about a medium mixed breed game plan? And you can use the weight breaks as you want. And a large breed specific marketing plan so that you're getting the larger breeds in earlier and more frequently and testing for different things, including the elbows and hips and backs and everything else, that you're not necessarily doing with mixed breeds right now. So you've got the breed-specific marketing, you've got the ability to identify mixed breeds into a predominant breed, you have the ability to use genetic testing to try to find out what the breeds are, and then now you can even create a small breed-specific marketing program, a medium-sized breed, and a large breed-specific marketing program. Some might be hips, some might be back, some might be eyes, teeth, smaller breeds with underbite. All of these different things can fit into the picture and the discussion. So let's kind of summarize this and allow plenty of time for questions. Right now, in the current economic environment, marketing is not an area that you should be cutting. Marketing is actually an area where you should be investing, but you need to do it wisely. And you need to take marketing from being a salesy, kitschy type thing to an education. People right now are looking to learn information before they make decisions. So the more that you can focus on educating your clients, either while they're in the room or before they come in, they're more likely to take action if they come in with information. And who better to provide the information than you? The information that is pulled down off the internet is not necessarily the information you want your clients to have. The information that is what you provide through your website or through links to your website that you have vetted are what you want your clients to have. Think about marketing as education. Stop thinking about it as selling. Focus strictly on education. And this goes to your existing clientele, which is what the premise of today's talk has been. But if you're building any external marketing programs, put some educational component into your external marketing discussions also. So breed-specific marketing is just taking that education and taking your education as veterinarians and advancing it. It's taking and going beyond the basics that we have become used to a new level of focus that customizes and personalizes for that specific client and that specific patient each time they come in, and do it every visit. This is not just a one-time situation. This needs to be built into the culture of your practice. So every time a pet comes in, you're going to talk to them about the well-care needs and the breed-specific needs, and then in between, you're going to communicate to them about things that you may have already talked about, or things that you're going to talk about the next time that they come in. So you can send communications out by letter, by postcard, by email, by text message. You could actually send a text message that says, visit our website to learn more about your golden retriever. Use different media. Use different types of outreach to clients because people learn different ways. And build your website to have the breed-specific components and content with it too, so clients know that they can go to your website to learn more about the things that you've already talked about in the exam room. Clients are looking for customized and personalized care. As a consumer, you are looking for personalized and customized care. Yes, we do go to places where you could just pull things off the rack. But in many cases, with your doctor, with your own health care, you're looking for somebody who's looking at you as an individual and knows you and knows your history more so than somebody who is just going to line you up like some cattle and give you a shot in the butt. Well, breed-specific marketing does this. It takes the basic well-care visits, that superficial discussion of, okay, well, this year we need to do the vaccinations, we'll do a fecal, we'll do a heartworm test, and it adds more excitement to it. Hey, we just got done doing some research on golden retrievers, and I am amazed to find out some of the conditions that these babies have that we can help to identify early. There are some cancerous conditions that are now being shown to have a greater breed predisposition, and we also know about the hip and elbow issues, and et cetera, et cetera. You and your staff are always should be looking for ways to be a doctor and a hospital and focus on the patient care, not selling, but education. And breed-specific marketing does this. Again, I talk about the most important thing you can do is make decisions that are in the best interest of the pet. And breed-specific marketing is good medicine, and it puts the patient needs first. And if you're the first kid in the neighborhood, you know, in my area in Southern California, there's about 50 practices at a 15-mile radius. How can you differentiate your practice differentiates your practice from the other practices in the community? Well, service, education, communication, putting the patient first will differentiate you and help your practice stand out. That being said, I'm open for any questions. Again, if you'd like a copy of the slide set, just send me an email, and I'll be more than happy to send you a PDF version of it so you can look at some of the content and share it with your staff. And again, a shout out to Nan Boss and Shannon Piggott with Genesis, who have created a lot of the handouts and resources that are available. And I would strongly advocate you start to think differently as you head into 2012, because if you want to take your practice to the next level, thinking differently will do it. Kate, do you have any questions?
Hey, I do, Peter. And just to remind everyone, if you do have questions, go ahead and use the questions pane within your GoToWebinar toolbar on the right-hand side of your screen. Just type in the question, and I'll ask it to Peter. We'll get it answered for you. The first question we had, Peter, was, we talked a lot about dogs and different breeds of dogs, but how do you see this methodology working for cats or even for large animals or things like that?
Absolutely, great question. Cats seem to have fewer genetic predispositions, but they are out there. And I know the Healthy Pet U website has cat information, and I believe Lowell Ackerman's book has cat information too. You can do the same thing for cats. Certain breeds have a higher predisposition to polycystic kidney disease. Certain breeds have a higher predisposition to hyperthyroidism or diabetes. You can build, and I apologize for not addressing the cats. I have a note to myself to basically say you can extrapolate this to cats also, but the same thing. The cat information is out there. It's not as great because there aren't as many genetic aberrations in cats as there are in dogs, but the same thing. And you can identify the specific breed issues with horses, whether it's standardbred, thoroughbred, Arabs, or warm bloods, or whatever, the cold bloods, the draft horses. All breeds have some higher predilection to different things. So you can create the same concept from this concept into any breed, and cattle too, that your practice may see or work with.
Excellent. Thank you. And then we have a question that goes back to when you were talking about the mixed breeds.
Yes.
And so one of the attendees asked, if you base mixed breed healthcare on what either the client or the DVM believes to be the breed without testing, are you opening yourself up to liability?
Good question. The liability question is always a great one because you just don't know. The concern I have is I love the genetic testing. In fact, I did it on my own mixed breed dog, but it's not always spot on from that standpoint. But if you do it, and it does identify, for example, one specific breed, it could at least help you in your game plan. If the client doesn't want to do it because it's not an inexpensive situation, I am sure that we could probably find out from an attorney whether a release that basically says we are going to make our assessment based upon a guess or a supposition that this is the breeds that are part of this dog. Again, you're not really doing anything wrong because you're looking at things in the pet's best care. Will you miss some things test-wise? Potentially. But obviously, we would love to have a super accurate, 100% guaranteed breed identification program. But until we have that, you run the risk of even misinterpreting the test from that standpoint. So I think it's the first option, obviously, if you can get it done, because it does give you some validity. But if you don't have that option, then you need to talk to the client and let them know and document it in the record that you're going to make a judgment based upon your discussion with the client as to how to create this breed-specific or size-specific healthcare. And it's a tough one on the mixed breeds from that standpoint, but it's one that if you go over with the client that says, hey, this dog looks like it's got 13 different parents, we're going to pick the ones that we see most likely. Let's see, it's got an underbite, which puts it into the Shih Tzu, Lhasa Pug, peak type situation, and these are some of the small breed conditions. Or it's got a German Shepherd